All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews. We're back with more Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're doing Season 1, Episode 9. It is called Repairs. So, full spoilers if you've not seen this. Not much to say about this episode. Again, this is kind of like we're getting to that middle of the road, getting ready for bigger things. But we get a lot more character. We get a lot about May. We get a lot about the cavalry. And, you know, just... they can't all be knocks, can't be home runs. And this episode reminds me a lot of an episode of the X-Files from Season 1 called Ghost in the Machine. So full spoilers for that too, because this basically has the same kind of premise. A girl is being followed around by a psychic presence or telekinetic presence that's causing harm to those around her. She thinks maybe she's doing it, and it's up to the gang to come and get her out and try to figure out what to do about her. Now, in the midst of this, we have Fitz and Simmons deciding to prank Skye, which is pretty funny, and this is how the whole cavalry thing gets started in this episode, where they lie about what happened with May. And they give this whole pretty silly story about her riding in on a horse and 2 guns and killing 100 people. Later, Ward tells her a different story, and then even later, Coulson tells her, Skye another story. So it's kind of like, telephone, where the story starts to change as you go, except in this case, the lie begins right at the beginning, where Fitz and Simmons just completely lie to her. Ward, I believe, was just repeating what he heard, and Coulson, I believe, is telling a version of the truth. And the only person who knows is May, and I don't know when we get the answer to this, which season that happens in, but we eventually get it, and to be honest with you, with everything that's been talked about, I just remember thinking it was a little underwhelming, but maybe I need to see that again. When I get to that again, we'll make our decisions there, but a lot of this has to do, this is one of those, it's not a religious episode, but there is a lot of kind of faith-based talk in this episode about God, because the main character in this episode is the girl, and she comes from this small town religious town, which I can relate. I'm in a very small town that is very religious based, so I get, this is an accurate kind of thing, and this can happen in small towns where people, let their fears and, God and the devil and all this stuff, and, we got a bunch of different people with different, on the plane with different ideas, and it's one of those, it's not slamming religion or slamming anti-religion, it's taking this kind of middle of the road, just be good to each other approach, which I like, and I can appreciate. I'm glad it didn't go too far to the one side or the other. What we find out here is that there was, around the time of Thor: The Dark World, they were jumping in, the portals were opening and closing and all over the place, but that was in Paris, France, and so I don't know if, I guess they're trying to say that somewhere over here there were triggers, they were opening portals all over the place. I guess there was a little bit of exposition, I think, where they said that they had seen things happening, that portals were opening everywhere. So I guess this guy, or at least that was their one theory, but what it really is this guy caused an explosion that sent him, between worlds. So maybe he was going to the Dark Elves world. I don't know. He said it was hell. The Dark Elves world kind of looked like hell. But he's kind of like Nightcrawler, where he can teleport in and out, but I don't, he seems to have a really good control over it too. Because if he's going to another world and jumping back, he has to know, if he's disappearing, right? And in between the disappearances, he's in hell. And he wants to get to a certain point. He has to know, how to maneuver. I don't know. That's a lot of stuff to think about when this guy is moving around. And, it becomes a little bit of you're locked in this plane. This guy has sabotaged you. You don't know where he's at. And I do love the scene where it's the light turning on and off, and the shadow, of the guy gets closer to May. And you think he's going to get her, but then they do the opposite thing where the light turns off and she's gone because she knew somebody was there. What I really wanted was when they give a close-up of him and the lights are going on and off, I wanted to see her behind his shoulder. That would have made the fucking like scene complete, like flipping it on the kind of like the horror movie cliche of the guy that's always right there behind you, you know. Then you meet somebody like May and, you know, somebody who could scare the horror movie guy. But in the end, you know, they have to separate the girl from him, and May gets her out, and this is kind of what she does. This is like her specialty, and she ends up taking this guy down, but telling him, you know, like, look, this was an accident. You did this. You know, you can't. You know, you have to live with yourself. But you can't ask for anybody else for forgiveness. Only God can forgive, apparently. In May's opinion, anyway. And I guess, the guy just dies or something? I don't know. He disappears and it's all over and it's all nice and tidy and I don't know. It's just one of those episodes. It's got the funny moment when the broomstick comes out of the closet and scares everybody. Even Fitz, who planted the broomstick, which is pretty funny. But in the end, you know, sometimes when you think about his prank, for somebody so smart, he came up with such a kind of a lame... Like, it worked, okay? I'm not going to say it didn't work and it wasn't an effective scare that he set up. But you'd expect something more elaborate from, like, Fitz or Simmons. And again, this episode's filled with a lot of great banter. And here's, again, this is where I'm starting to see it, is Skye and the whole fighting authority thing. And just them telling her, look, you know, like, I guess... she's one of those characters that, you know, you can tell her everything, but, you know, people just have to make their own mistakes. So it's almost like I just wish that they just go, you know what, let's just not tell her to do anything. It's like letting a kid touch a hot stove so that they know not to do it again. It's like every episode, Skye has to have something that is the equivalent of a hot stove. And she has to do that thing that she's not supposed to do, and then she does it, and then she gets bit, and then, you know, like... then she learns not to do it again. She learns a different way of doing things. And that's a formula that is starting to show up here and be more prevalent. And it's going to be prevalent in a lot of episodes. And that is one of the reasons why, like, it's not one of the reasons why I stuck with the show. It's one of the reasons why sometimes it was hard to stick with this show. Because of the procedural nature of some of this stuff and the by the numbers kind of stuff that happens in this show. It doesn't take away from the overall enjoyment of it, but there were just times, you know, I remember watching this the first time around, like going, oh my God, Skye, shut up. But, you know, she's the audience. She's the young part of the audience that that they want to get in touch with, the one that's like, yeah, screw everything, and I know better than you, and all that stuff. But anyway... we get, like, at least May, you know, when Coulson's talking about May and the thing that she lost and what she did, we get to see that thing at the end where she plays a prank on Fitz, and nobody knows that it's her, but I mean, I guess by process of elimination, you'd eventually figure it out. But it's nice to see that she's starting to come back. And that's what's important about this episode, is not really the story, it's the characters and the development that we get. And again, I know I talk about this every time, but it's just like, so it's going to hurt so much harder, man. Like, I really wish, well, we'll get to that. It's got more to do with Ward and stuff like that. But that's really all I got for this episode. I talked about 9 minutes of it, so anyway, if you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Otherwise, this is Robert Smirking on Roost, and we'll be back with episode 10 in a little while. We've also got The Walking Dead tonight, if it's worth reviewing. Otherwise, this is, we'll just have a great day, and sorry, and we'll see you next time. Bye. If I can turn it off.